Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome back to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thanks for joining us again this week. So this podcast is going to take a little bit of a different turn than some of our other podcasts. This title, Who Should Buy Materials? We're going to cover, there's three different types of people that can buy materials for your job. And we're going to cover that, and then we're going to talk about exactly how our general contracting company sets up who buys what and how.
And why we made the choice to do it.
Exactly. There's pros and cons on all sides of who's buying the materials. So we're going to try to sort through them. This is not a do it this way or you're going to be unsuccessful. This is how we came up with that decision, and you need to figure out how you're going to do it to put it in your processes.
If you've been listening to our podcast, you know that we're really big on having a process.
What? Yeah.
So doesn't matter what you choose to do, understand the variables, the pros and cons, and find yourself a process of how you do it.
And you could probably argue why we could do it a little differently, but we like the way we do it, and we'll explain why. And there's pros and cons to every single way. Yeah. And we're fine with the cons of our way because of the pros that it provides us. So again, this is going to be a pick us apart episode, not a this is how you do it episode. Yeah. So
the three levels, the three different places are the client purchasing the materials.
Yep.
The subcontractor or
the middle,
vendor,
the contractor is the middleman.
Correct. The company.
Yep.
And then your subcontractors or your labor on site that is actually purchasing materials, paying for them.
Yep. Who's going and buying that light fixture that needs to go in? Is it the homeowner? Is it you, or is it your sub?
That's right.
Those are the three different levels. So going through that, having a homeowner buy it means if I'm the general contractor, I am putting together a materials list. I'm telling them this is everything we're going to need for this job. Here are all the selections. I'm going to buy the 2x4s. I need you to pick out your materials and purchase them and have them to the job site by this date.
They're not buying sheetrock and buckets of mud and all that stuff. But the fit, finishes, flooring, the tile, all of that stuff.
A lot of times it's light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, that sort of thing that they're going to purchase. Or you're giving them. We've seen some contractors say, okay, here's the material order from Home Depot. Please give your credit card to buy it, and the homeowner buys the materials, and you've put the order in. That's the homeowner controlling the purchases.
Right.
The next level down is you controlling the purchases, where you go and you're letting them pick out the materials, but you are doing all of the buying, all of the delivering, all of the material management, making sure that things are in stock. If things get delivered broken, you're returning them.
I'm putting my own cash in front to be able to cover the cost of all those things.
Yes, or I'm invoicing the client saying, hey, I need a materials draw, and then I'm going and buying all that stuff. But either way, I am in control. My credit card is on the swipe at Home Depot. Yeah. And then the third is when the subcontractor is buying materials. We definitely don't love this way, but that way is for certain companies that are set up as a larger, more management company. They'll use contractors as their subs. And so they say, okay, here's your work order. Here's everything we need for this job. Here's all the SKUs. Go out and buy it. Right. And I'm going to pay my sub materials and labor.
You're getting $20,000 for this job. You got to buy all the materials. You got to pay all the labor. And $20,000 to get everything done. You cover all the expenses.
Yep. So those are the three different areas of who could buy materials and how it happens. So going into it, excuse me, our company, our general contracting company, we have a hybrid. I would say we're probably 70% of the time we are buying the materials. I'd say probably 10% of the time a homeowner buys it, and 20% of the time we have a subcontractor buying it. And we're going to explain what those means and how we decide which ones are which. Pros and cons of the reason we decided not to have homeowners buy it. And when a homeowner wants to buy it, this is our sales pitch to them of why we should buy it. We tell them, if we create a list for you, that's fine. If you want to go buy your light fixtures, and you're the client, I'm the contractor, Jared. And Jared, if you want to buy your light fixture, and you want to go buy no problem. I'm not going to charge you for those. You can go buy those. I won't have those on my quote, but
you can pay whatever you want for them.
That's fine.
Right.
Here's my question for you, and you have to say this up front. If it shows up broken, if it's not here on time, what happens then? If you order it and it shows up broken and my electrician is putting together that light fixture and it actually doesn't have pieces there, who's going to pay for my electrician's time? Who's going to contact and get that returned? Who's going to pay for my electrician's double the work because he installed one, had to take it down, and now he's installing a second one because it was broken? Who's paying for all that? If you're okay with paying for that, then you're in charge of buying it.
Yep.
If you don't want that headache, also you buy the tile, right? And you bought 100 square feet of tile, and it turns out we needed 110 square feet. So I'm going to call you during your work hour and say, you've got 30 minutes to go buy more tile and drop it off at this house because you are buying the materials, and my tile installer is sitting here and he needs 10 more square feet of that tile. So please go buy that and have it at the house.
And if you can't, then the cost of the job has to go up because my guy has now got to leave and he's got to come back.
Yep.
And your timeline of the job just extended. So when you thought we were going to be done by 4th of July so you could have the big party, we've now extended it past them because we've got a delay on the job.
And we're charging you for the delay that's caused on us because we're losing another job that was supposed to be done after you. So we lay that out to our homeowners so they understand why we want to control the process.
And that's in the CEA. Like,
that is.
Through. Okay.
So we will give them a list of selections, right? And we'll say, okay, here's everything we're going to need for your job. We actually have a Google worksheet where we share it with the client so then they can edit it and look at it and we can track who's editing what.
And who's responsible for purchasing what?
Yes.
If we have a client that does want to purchase some things.
And it's going to happen. You know, and that's why I said 10% of the time the homeowner is doing it. Because with us, they'll say, hey, I went to this antique store and found this perfect vanity that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it. Great, no problem. I've got a budgeted amount. But my budgeted amount that I give them does not include the profit that I have built in for that materials. And we have profit, we call it. It's not even profit on materials. We build in a percentage markup on materials for managing, because that homeowner probably isn't throwing the vanity in the back of her car. I'm going to have to go pick it up. When it gets here, I'm going to have to move it around the job site. I'm going to have to manage and deal with it. I'm going to have to get my guys in. So there's a lot of work that's going into it, even though they're buying it. So I might on a line item say, I've got tile. I'm charging you $4,000 to install. I'll do everything, demo for the tile floor. I've got $1,000 budgeted for materials, but in my software, I've actually got a 15% markup on that. So I've got $1,250 for materials, but I'm telling my client I've got $1,000 for materials because that's what they can spend. I've now got another 15% that's going to be what I'm being paid for my time to go pick that material up, make returns of the material,
manage issues, problems that may come from
all of that stuff. And so we mark it up for that and we tell them that. We'll say like, you got $1,000, it's $1,250 for the materials, but I'm making $150 because I'm going to manage and ensure that if something messes up, it's on me, not you. I'm going to pay the guy for installing the light fixture twice, not you.
Right.
And so if I can manage that, then I'm controlling everything. We do it that way also because efficiency and timing. If timing is key, getting off a job site a week early means I've got a full week of more work that I can be doing. So if a homeowner delays me, I could lose $10,000 because I wasn't on another job site for a week. Most contractors don't calculate that time. They say, well, my 6-week project turned into an 8-week project, turned into a 12-week project. If you're making $10,000 in 6 weeks, that's pretty good. Making $10,000 in 12 weeks is not very good.
Right.
And so looking at it that way, saying, okay, I need to control the material purchasing because I want to control the clock. I want to make sure it's going to be here. And I want to get my markup on it for the work I'm going to be doing with that material.
Right, right.
So that's the customer side of why I don't want them to buy materials. Did I miss anything on the pros and cons of that?
No, I think that's right. I think, the way that I look at this, and I think this is also going to play into the subcontractor side as well. Our job as a general contractor, the way I view it, is the conductor of an orchestra. Yeah. I'm in charge of all the different pieces. I'm in control of it because I know the timing that I've got to be able to hit to make it to be a perfect, music, whatever, right? Yeah. But for the job to run smoothly, to be able to hit what I told the client, I will be done with this in 12 weeks. I can't, if I make that commitment, I can't put the responsibility of timeline on anybody else. I've got to be able to control that. And if I'm putting purchasing of materials on somebody, and their job was to get this chandelier, and they can't get it because they had a family situation, and all of a sudden it delays and all that. Now my commitment that I told my client that's going to be 12 weeks, I'm not able to hit that. So it's kind of like it feels weird to say I'm in control of everything, but I have to be able to do what I tell my client I'm going to do, and also do right by my subcontractors. The way we pay our subcontractors is a bulk price for the whole job, that they're going to be making X amount of money over 6 weeks, but it turned into a 12-week job. I've either got to cover them extra money, and if I don't, they're going to be frustrated, right? So there's so many variables that come from putting the responsibility of the execution on this job on multiple parties.
Not only that, if I have my customer managing a lot of the purchases, it is a full-time job managing that person doing their job, right? I now have this homeowner or this client working for me because I'm telling them what I need, when, and how to get it, and no, you ordered the 6-inch when we needed the 8-inch, and you did this. It is just as much work, if not more, managing them and making sure it gets here and allowing them to have control of my timeline than it would be if I just handle it myself.
Right. Well, and there's also the other variables of that is if the client is ordering a special pre-hung door, or they're ordering a vanity or a cabinet, they order that.
Yeah.
That's all they order. They don't know that they also need to order screws, caulking, shims, all the things the little ancillary things that are necessary. We get on site, there's the cabinet, there's the vanity. Crap, now we got to go to Home Depot to pick up these extra things that if I was in charge of it, I would have had a list of all those things and had it on site.
Some plumbing fixtures come with hoses. Some don't. There's stuff like that where it's like, do I need to buy that? What did you order? What did you not order? Did you ask for that? You bought the dishwasher. Did it come with a supply line? Did it come with a drain line? Yes or no? And so I got to go. So it's just a whole nother level of management that you got to ask. I'm asking questions that I would have asked when purchasing that they didn't know they should have asked when they were purchasing.
Correct.
The con of this, the negative of managing it is also the positive for them, for the client. The negative of managing it is I buy that light fixture and I don't get all the pieces, and my electrician has to pull it down and then put another one up, like the example I gave. I'm not covering that cost. I can't pass it on to the client.
Correct.
I don't want to pass costs on to the client. It makes them upset. It breaks trust. But if I have that opportunity because they chose to do it, I'm going to.
Right.
And so that's the con of doing it. But we think the pros outweigh the con. It is a little more work, but like I said, I at the end of the day, it's the same amount, if not more work, to manage the client making those purchases.
There's a much higher percentage of opportunity for there to be errors, problems, and issues that cause an additional cost to the client if they're in charge of getting materials on site and whatever it is. There's a higher possibility for those things to happen versus if I've got it controlled. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It is going to happen, but I can limit those things to a much smaller percentage because of the knowledge that I have.
Yep. So we will give them a list and we say, here are all of our builder's grade or suggested materials. Here are the SKUs. Here's links to websites. Here's the Home Depot site. Here's the Jocelyn Main vanity that we got. Whatever it is, the Wayfair light fixture. This is what we've pre-selected, or we leave it blank and say we need some selections in here.
And the things that these are the things that are priced out in your estimate.
Quote.
Right.
That way, I'm not having to break down pricing on their quote. They've got a separate spreadsheet that says, okay, we've got $18,000 worth of materials here. That's part of your quote already.
Yeah.
So then I've got $100 toilet that's on there. This is the SKU. They want that gold toilet that has the self-warming seats
$500
and the built-in, whatever it is. It's $500. They put the SKU there, and I go look at it, and I put $500. And now at the end of the day, I've got a $400 change order starting on my materials extras.
Right.
So it's not them telling me, oh, I want this one, and I'm losing that money. They can change the SKU. I need them to sign off on each line item before I make the order. And so during our CEA, our client meeting, the pre-con meeting, we're saying, okay, this is how it works. I need you to sign off on this stuff by this date, And once you do that, I'm going to go ahead and put the order in.
Right.
Can I buy these myself? Yes, you can. This is why I suggest letting us do it. And we go through all the steps of that.
And creating a level of accountability and expectation in the job at the very beginning. Yeah.
So that's why we try and own that side from the client. With the sub side, it's a little more cut and dry. For us, when we are talking with subs about running crews and doing labor for us, we spell out, we're going to do the estimate. We're going to do the client management. We're going to find the materials and purchase them and have them delivered. We're going to deal with inspectors. I need
communication back and forth.
Yep. We're going to do the collections. We're going to hunt down. We're going to front the money. You show up and do the labor and get on to the next job. That's what we divide up the jobs on this specific job, and you get paid some, and I get paid some from this job. So,
and we also say in that meeting that we cover all the cost of materials. You go and pick them up for us, but you don't have to be out of pocket for that. We're going to cover it.
When our subs are when you put your subs in charge of buying materials, they now need money up front. We pay our subs as they complete work. Right. If I'm giving them money up front, how do I know they're buying the materials with that? There is so much liability in cutting a $4,000 check to a sub that might be the first time on your job, or they might been working with you for 3 or 4 jobs, but you don't really know them. And here's a $4,000 check. I hope you buy the right materials. I hope you buy the ones that the SKUs I gave you. And they don't. They never do, right?
Well, and it's because their mentality going into the job is less about customer service and delivering on what the client wants, and more about how do I maximize the money that I'm getting paid for this.
That's right.
I'm going to spend a little bit less on this and a little bit less on this. Nobody will ever know I'm putting particle board in instead of some real good wood or whatever it is. And all of a sudden you end up with job site issues where things are falling apart because they chose a subpar material that if I was purchasing it, I would have purchased the correct thing because my focus is I want my quality to be known by my client so that they're happy with the job. The sub is always focused on how can I maximize the amount of money I can make on this.
But with what you just said, if I'm trying to maximize the quality isn't just the finish of the product, it's also the experience. So the homeowner gave me this SKU. I passed it to the sub to buy it. This is the SKU we need. They put in the wrong light fixture. Now what are we going to do? Who's handling pulling it down? That sub is already paid and moved on. I've now got to pay someone else to come out, buy another light fixture. There's no box to return this old one at, so I've got an extra light fixture floating in my back of my truck or my storage room for the next 6 months, right? And then I've got to go put in the right one that was selected. The homeowner's bothered because it took an extra week to do that. I'm out of an extra $600 between the light fixture and the additional labor, and it was all because this guy tried to cut a corner and wasn't really caring about which light fixture we want. He just went to Depot and picked one up.
That's right. That's right. And I think another big piece of the reason why we've chosen to keep the purchasing by us and not minimizing the purchases by the homeowner or the client and the subcontractor is because it is the spend that we have at different big box suppliers gives us some credit benefits, opportunities that we wouldn't have.
Our credit cards.
And our credit cards, And we get better pricing on products. We get opportunities to do stuff. We also have some really cool kickbacks once or twice a year where because we spent X amount of money, we just get a check cut to us for, hey, thanks for being a great client. If I'm allowing my subcontractor to purchase all the materials, I'm missing out on that. I'm paying full price for materials. That is a place where the variance in materials cost goes directly to the bottom line. Right? If I can save 5% just by nature of I do a lot of business with this one big box supplier, that 5% is straight to the bottom line profit. So that's one of the big benefits of doing as many and as much of the purchasing of materials and products yourself, even though you've got to front that cash or do the upfront invoicing for material purchases and all that stuff. It allows you to stay in control of it and reap the benefits of saving money on the cost of it and getting some perks back from those big box places. So
that's right. And I mean, our credit card's 2% cash back. So every time we swipe it, we're getting 2% straight cash back into our bank account. So it's something to where when you're on a small scale, it's not that big of a deal. But again, like we talked about last week's podcast, start setting up like a large company. So when you scale up, you're getting all these perks.
Right.
You're getting that relationship. You talk about the relationship with our suppliers. At Home Depot, we've got a rep that's dedicated to us that we can call any day. That rep will drive to our job site and pick up materials for us if they messed up.
He is actually, we had a major issue with some delivery, and he went and spent 10 hours of his workday sitting in a driveway waiting for a product to be delivered because it had been such an egregious problem. He said, I got you guys. I'm going to go sit on site so you don't have to.
Yep.
So, I mean, the super great perks that come from that. But I think when we get back to who should make the purchases, it doesn't really matter what you choose to do.
Yep.
It is understanding the different possibilities that are out there and choosing to say, okay, for me, I feel like this is the best way for my company where I'm at today. It might not be the best for where I'm going, but for today, this is the way I'm going to set it up and have a process that everybody involved, the client, you, and your subs know and understand the expectation of this is how we handle materials.
Let me talk about the ground level too of the nitty gritty of exactly how we do it.
Yeah.
Because when we say we're going to buy the materials, we don't have a materials runner that is just driving all over. I mean, we've got 50, 60 open jobs right now. We don't run material for them. If they needed a box of screws, we don't go buy that for them. So when we say we buy the materials, what that means is all the finishes, all of the major purchases. We'll walk the job site with our crew day one. We will get a full list of everything we want. We will put a materials order in to be delivered on a specific day. And that is when we're going to be buying everything. From there, after we've got that initial purchase, it is our subcontractor's job to buy any other materials that they need, but they buy it on our account with us doing a phone sale.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I made my initial front end buy of maybe all the wood needed, all the sheetrock needed, all the whatever I need, or any major the cabinets and the appliances I might make in a later larger purchase.
Right.
But I do the front end purchase, get it all delivered. I've got everything on site.
It's staged there, ready to go. Yeah.
Already. Now my sub is there, and he's like, the corner bead didn't make it on this order. So they run to Home Depot. They get all the corner bead they need. They go to the phone sale. They do a phone sale. We've got a process for phone sale. We ask 4, 5, 6 questions of who's there. What are they buying? Are there any food, drinks, or tools being purchased? And if there are, hang up, rerun this, and call me back later. Well, as soon as I'm not being charged for that. Did they give you the Pro ID if it's Home Depot? Did they
use our coupon for getting a discount?
Yeah, and we go through all of the questions on the phone, verifying what they're buying. We approve the buy, we make the purchase, and then we get emailed a receipt, and we look at the receipt and say, okay, what did they buy? Why did they buy 42 pieces of drywall when the job needs no more than 8 to 10?
Right.
Let me investigate this. So we will hold them accountable and back charge them, hit them with a fee of $75 if they're overbuying or buying something that they're not authorized
Mainly
to buy.
unauthorized stuff. Like
Exactly.
They threw in a skill saw or a freaking Fat Max, which they always try.
4 Snickers and a Coke are all of a sudden on there. I'm charging them for that. So they make those purchases themselves. And because we aren't going to run materials for them. We want them to go one time a day to Home Depot at the most, or wherever hardware store they're going to, not 7. And we coach them on that. And we try to help them become better subs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're not purchasing the materials, throwing them in our truck and driving them. Our project managers are that. They are project managers, not materials runners, not material installers, not delivery boys. They're project managers.
And I've watched guys over and over in this industry that are the standard kind of old school contractors that they're showing up to the job site. They're not swinging hammers, but they're the foreman or whatever you want to call themselves, right? And they pull up in their truck because their guy said, hey, I need, a 2x6x12s. I need those delivered over here. He goes to Home Depot, he gets those things, he brings them to the job site, and the guy's like, hey, by the way, I also need these screws and I need this thing. He drops those things off, he goes back to Home Depot, and it's this constant, he becomes, instead of being in charge of the project, he becomes the errand boy that's just constantly
minimum wage errand boy.
Yeah, you know, and that eats into so much time because there's an inefficiency there. And I think there's a lot of people that kind of default into that category because it's just what is known. It feels like I'm controlling the project, all of that stuff. But if you cut out 10 times a week that you're running to Home Depot because you've created efficiency, you can take on 2 more jobs. Which means that you're bringing in way more money. Your company is on its way to being a higher successful company, all because you created some organization around the way that you spend money and purchase materials.
One of the companies that came on Alliance a while ago, is executive level company where we really helped develop their processes with them. They had a materials runner, and the materials runner was a guy that was just literally doing that. They were about half the size, a third of the size of our general contracting company, but they still had a decent amount of jobs, and so he was full-time dropping this off, got to go buy this.
And from the outside looking in, it looked like efficient. That made sense.
And so we looked at it and we said, okay, his salary plus the gas you're spending, plus, and we added every expense up. We were like, you're spending $85,000, close to $90,000 a year on this one material runner. He's your highest paid person here.
Right.
What are you doing? And they're like, we're not spending that much. He's like, well, look at the numbers. You're spending that much.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't work there anymore, right? And so we help them understand this is how you get your crews to do that. This is how you manage that. But you have to be proactive in ordering things for them. You have to be proactive. And when you're reactive, there's no time for that. You need a materials runner because it's it's Wednesday. Oh, we're supposed to do a deck. Okay, go to a depot and buy all the wood we need now, right? If I would have ordered it on Monday, by Wednesday I could have it delivered and it's fine. I don't need the material runner.
Right.
So it's about being efficient and being proactive and planning and Gantt charting and looking at your job. And if you can do that, you don't need a materials runner. You don't need the crew to be going and figuring that out. You're doing it.
And you don't need to be the material runner.
And you're not doing it either. So that's how we run materials from start to finish. If you have any questions, if you have any disagreements, we love to hear from you. If there's a better way that you think we should do it, I'd love to hear that. But yeah, let us know how you do it. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next time.
Bye.